Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 15 of Build Your Stash and Craft. And so I just wanted to show you, I showed you all the different things that I had bought with my 750, and then we also got our floss. But I just wanted to show you what I did with my floss. And I just took a piece of cardboard. Start out with a bigger piece, cut a little square, cut a bunch of squares the same size, because then when you go to store them, they're all the same size. They don't have to be any specific size. This is probably maybe 2 by 2.5 inches or something, but cut a square, and then what you're going to do is you're going to put a couple little legs on it by just cutting down on each side, and then just go in and turn your scissors and cut a little piece out of there so that you've got two little legs. Then we're going to come in and do exactly the same thing on the other end. Now this is a great way to store any kind of small fibers that you have, like embroidery, floss, and that type of thing. And then what you do, once you get your two legs, so cut on an angle on one side, just make an angle cut, then turn it around like this and make another angle cut. And what that does is when you wrap your embroidery floss, if your embroidery floss when you end is coming up this way, well, if you only cut one slit and it goes that way, you can slide it up in there, but it's easier if the embroidery floss is coming up, it's easier to slide it down into that one. If you were going this way and then, you've got your string right here, it's better to come over here and slide it up on this side. If you put a little slot on each side, then it doesn't matter which way you wrap it, because sometimes I wrap it this way, sometimes I wrap it that way. Like, I don't have a specific way that I do it. So this way I know that I can tuck it on either side when I'm done, so that as this floss came around like this, I just wanted to come right down in there. That holds the floss in place so that they don't get all messy. So I did that, and I wrapped up all of my flosses. Well, no, I did not wrap up all of them, actually. I used a pancake mix box, the top and the bottom, and then I just covered it with some of our painty paper, and that was enough to hold one of every color that I had here, and one of every color that I got at the second-hand store. So there were some duplicates, so I just went ahead and didn't roll those up, because I don't need to have the same color rolled up more than once. And then what I did do, because these ones they have numbers on them which tell you what color it is. So on my cardboard, like this is a DMC, which is the brand number 453. So if I really love that color, I can actually go to the store, and with that number, I can find exactly the same color instead of just going and finding something close. And especially if you're doing a project where you need to complete it and you need the same color to do that. So I just did that on all of them. There were some Coats, and this one is Coats and Clark, and it did not have a number on it, but the Coats and Clark, is that? Yeah. The Coats and Clark is the ones that we got from Walmart. And so I just wrote that on there because they don't have numbers. So, but then I just know, what I have. And then I just sorted them out, not by type, like not by DMC or Coats and Clark. I just did them by color. And I actually literally just had enough to fill these two boxes. So that worked out really well. I am going to have to make another one, though, and I'll show you that in a minute. So I just wanted to kind of show you that I went through, I washed everything up. I put what was left of these in a nice clean bag, rolled up all of my strings. I wiped these down and everything, and then wrapped them around some cardboard so they wouldn't get all tangled, and then just stored them all nicely in a box. so that I have kind of my, put my buttons down a little bit. Oh, I think I'm going to need this, so we'll just take those out. Yeah, so that way, and I had a few of the cardboards left, so I just stuck those in here because at some point I'll need those, even if it's just to wrap some more of the others. But yeah, if you go through and get everything kind of organized a little bit, and this is just a plain old little box. You don't need anything special, but once you know that it's all wiped and clean and everything, it just feels good. It feels better to use it than to think that it feels a little bit like messy. So I'm just going to put these in with our fabric parts here, and there's my lace, and here are all of the other fabrics that I had purchased, and all I did was I threw them all in the washing machine and washed them and folded them all up, and now it feels so nice to have them nice and clean, and now I'll enjoy using them much more. So the one thing I want to show you how to do today, if you don't get those embroidery flosses, you can get this cotton twine at the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make our own embroidery floss. So I'm going to show you how I did that. So you're going to want to have gloves, and if you don't mind your hands getting stained, you don't have to, but we did pick up the gloves. And this is still the very first pair I started with because I just wash my hands every time and then take them off with the wet part on the outside and just hang them up on, I put a couple of those skewers that we have and that are in the back of our bead box, and I just hang them on there so that they can dry. But this is what we're going to do. So you take any kind of a little, this is like a Jello cup or something, or a fruit cup. And I save these. These are great to use in your art room. So just any kind of a little, you can use a McDonald's coffee cup, whatever you have. You know, it doesn't have to be, you just don't want to use your kitchenware for your art room. So set some things, if you have some stuff in your kitchen that you don't use anymore, make sure that you set it aside, because you don't want, especially with plastic, you don't want the chemicals in whatever you're using to soak into that plastic, and then you heat it up in the microwave with some leftovers in it or something, and that leaches out into your food. So what I did was I made my own embroidery floss with all of the acrylic paints that we had and some brown. And all I did was put some water in there, put some paint in there, mix it until it's mixed well. Take a bit of string, get it wet first, because that way it absorbs more. I don't know that I want to say more evenly, but to me it absorbs better if it's wet first. Totally up to you. You can try some wet, try some dry. And then you just take that, stick it in there, stir it around and stir it around. And when you're done stirring it, it will kind of look like this if you had put your orange paint in there, and it will be all wet. So just take your stir sticks, your skewers, and just pull it out of there and just drop it on a piece of your parchment paper, and then just let it dry. Every so often go in there and give it a little flip over so that it can dry. It took mine about a full day, maybe day and a half or something to dry. I'm not exactly sure. I don't pay that much attention because I was busy doing other things, but I just had it sitting on my art table, and I would just keep going in there and doing this till it dried. Once it's dry, then you're going to, and it's you know, all messy because we stirred it around in that cup and everything, but you're just going to unwind it. And then what I do is take it from the, you know, from one end and just kind of pull it. And just make sure you don't pull a knot into it. So it's, you know, it's kind of wound around itself, but it, you know, it shouldn't turn into a knot. So but I just kind of pull it to help straighten it out, and just do it like that. And then what I did was, then I just hung it over a knob on one of the drawers in my art room. And because it was already dry, but if it was a little bit damp, I did not want to wrap it onto one of our embroidery cards until I knew it was really dry. But I just run it through my hands like this to knock off anything that might be excess on here if there's, you know, like a big chunk of paint or something. And also just to kind of help straighten it up. And then I just like took really long loops like this, and like I said, then I just hung it over a knob. So I just had this long bit like that and just hung it over a knob and let it hang there for a while. I don't even know how long. And then once it's hung and it's dried, then I just took it and wrapped it on one of our little things here. I probably shouldn't have put my gloves on already. Try and give it a shake to unwind what was wound up there. And just keep winding until you have it all wound up. And then you will have your own colored string, but like embroidery floss. So you can use it the same way you use embroidery floss. Now, you know, embroidery floss comes in, there's like 6 strands in your embroidery floss. I'm not sure how many are in here. I didn't count them. But when I saw this and it was all stranded like that, that's what it made me think of. It made me think of, oh, it's kind of like embroidery floss, how it kind of like has all those strands and comes apart like that. So that's what made me think about we could actually use this just like embroidery floss. Now see, I'm coming down, so to try and go down into that one is kind of hard, but to come over here and go up into this slice, and these are really thick, so, but once you get it kind of opened up there we go. So now that's all taken care of, and it kind of comes out a little bit variegated with the acrylic paint. It's also very stiff. And see, a little bit of the red came off, so it really does actually stick pretty good. So I have whoops, I made that with all of the colors. So the brown was from the Dollar Tree, and it's premium acrylic paint, it says. All the rest were Apple Barrel, the ones that we bought from Walmart, and that's acrylic paint. So the brown seemed to dye more solid color. I don't know if it's because maybe I put a little more brown paint in there, because I didn't do any exact measurements, just a little bit of paint, a little bit of water. But all of the others, they all kind of came out variegated, which is really awesome because I really like the variegated strings. So I made all of these, and I'm going to just set those aside. Oh, here's the green. Oh, the green is really pretty too. Look, isn't that pretty? Just by using this string from the Dollar Tree. So I just took like 2 really long lengths. Like I just grabbed it and pulled it all the way out to the end of my arm a couple of times, 2-3 times, however many that you want to. And then just cut it. I already have one here cut, so I don't know why I did that. Just cut it. And so then you've got some string. There's a little bit of water in this. The water is just barely, there's not even 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch of water or something, just a little bit of water. I like my string to be wet. So I am going to wet the string, at least just a little bit. Usually I just have a little bowl of water and just stick it in there and get it wet. Okay, so we're going to try, because we did it with all the acrylic paints. So, excuse me. I'm so sorry. So we did it with all the acrylic paints, and it is a little stiff. and the acrylic paint also, I think, makes it a little thicker. So we're going to try it with some of our dye. Now, like I said, there's just a touch of water in there because I need to soak up everything in there with the string. And I wasn't sure how much of this it would soak up. Like, I didn't want to use all my blue dye. So, but I'm thinking that you should be able to dye it. And so I'm going to put some of that in there. And that's way too much. I should not have put that much in there. And I'm just going to put that in there. Give it a stir. With one of our skewers. And then I think that I'll just let it set for just, 5 minutes or so. And just kind of flip it over in there. But I believe that this will be more evenly dyed because it's so fluid. And I think that it will also not be as stiff as the paint is. So we're just going to do this with dye, and the dye takes nicely. It is a little bit light, but it's kind of light because I had all that water in there. If I had not put the water in there, and with how much dye that I dumped in here, I didn't need any water, so I don't know why I did that. But there we go. We're just going to set that aside and just let it soak for a bit. When I'm done and I think, okay, it's soaked enough, I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to toss it on here. I'm going to just kind of fluff it out a little bit like this, and then let it dry for at least a day, and just, come in and move it to a spot where it's drier. And then when this dries, just kind of move back over there and just keep flipping it around until it's completely dry. And then I did show you what we would do with it. After that, we just open it up and wind it up. But make sure that you let it dry super well before you wrap it up tight on one of those little reels, because you don't want it to get moldy in the middle or smell musty or anything. So there we go. So that is how you can make your own embroidery floss. Now, I'm sure you want to know, does it work? And it does, because I tried it. So I am going to show you. Now we have our needles that we got from Walmart that were different sizes. I do have to say that it fits through the tapestry needle just fine. And then I tried to get it through one of the smaller embroidery ones, and even with the threader, I couldn't get it threaded. But then I tried a bigger embroidery one, and it tells us on the back what they are. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to tell you. And I used the threader, stuck it through there. Let's see here. And it threaded just fine. So that is... the green one here is with the embroidery needle. The purple is on a tapestry needle. It went through that eye of that tapestry needle, just no problem at all. I didn't realize, though, a tapestry needle does not have a point on it. It's a very rounded end. Now, I did not have a problem. I didn't have a problem making all these stitches with it, but this is a very thin cotton. So, if I wanted to go through anything thick, I think it might be really hard to use. I really don't know. I just never knew that a tapestry needle had that. I don't think I've ever used a needle like that. So, but there is the purple. Isn't that cool? And I made a little flower. And then there's the green that I made the stem out of. The first time I went to put a knot in it, you put it around your finger, you go around your finger like this, and then roll the back over the front, and then just pull that circle together. The first time that I did that, I pulled really hard and I snapped the string. Now, since then, I haven't snapped the string at all, not by pulling on it to put the knot in, not by pulling on it on here, but there might be a spot where it is, where you need to pull really hard, and you could possibly snap it. Although, and what I did was, this is only one strand of the purple, and it works. Just put a quick French knot in here. It works really well. So there we go. There's a quick little French knot. And, I'm not really going to show you how to do stitches or anything today, but, as far as I'm concerned, you can do anything with this that you could do with regular embroidery floss. And the one thing, I've been playing around with Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, and I've become really quite interested in the embroidery. It's really quite fun. But I never realized, I really thought that with embroidery, you always used embroidery floss. But oh my goodness, they use everything. Embroidery floss and different types of, and like crochet. I think it's crochet. I think it might be crochet, like string or whatever, which is thin but doesn't split apart like embroidery floss does. And but yeah, they use all different types of threads. They use yarn and everything. So, this is just a way, if you don't have a color and you want to do something, let's say you want to do a flower and you don't have any green, you can dye your own. So, and I just wanted to show you how I split them. I got one here. They don't split quite like the crochet yarn. Crochet yarn, you just kind of have to make sure that you like hold the twisty end and it comes apart really easily. And I've seen people like grab the crochet yarn and just, ooh, the embroidery floss. Well, look at there. Okay, I did. I just pulled one strand out. That's pretty cool. But to do the very first one, and maybe it's because also that it's wrapped so tight the first time, but all I did was I found one and then I just held both sides, and then I held both sides like this. Okay, so hold this one between these two fingers, hold this one over here. You can hold however you want to, and then just untwist, and then what you have to do is hold it tight right there, and then just move up and grab again both of those strings and untwist until you can't hold it any longer, and then just move back up here and just keep untwisting. And that's how I had to do the first one. Now, it's kind of nice to know that once you've done the first one, the others you will be able to pull out easily. But I did want to show you how I did it because I had to kind of figure out how to do it because it wasn't unwinding the way that embroidery floss unwinds. But it still works just fine. And it's a little bit thicker than just one strand of embroidery floss. And there we go. So that is how I undid them. And if you have a real big-eyed needle, then you could put something like more than one strand through the eye of the needle. But, okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it looks like there's 7 strands in here instead of 6. So, but it works really great. You can make your own. You can make any color you want. You can dye it. You can use paint to color it. You can do it however you would like to, and it works out really well. I do like how the paint, the cheap acrylic paint, I really love how it came out variegated. So, because it's just really quite fun. And it's a little hard to see here, but, if you see closely, like this green is darker, it's lighter over here. This one's kind of like dark as it starts and gets lighter as it goes. Here, this purple is darker, this purple here is darker. So it does show up. It's just fun. I really like it. So that's how you can make your own embroidery floss with this string, and you don't have to just use it for embroidery floss. You can, just have colored string for other things, to make bows or whatever, and you'll have colored string to do that. So that is one thing we can do with our fabrics, and a good way to get some extra colors of floss if you're doing some stitching. So I thought one other thing that we would do with our fabrics is we'll make a paper clip, because they are really fun to do. Now, I've seen people do this like where they do a whole bunch at one time, and I'm just gonna do one because it will just be quicker. But so just take some of your fabrics and some of your fibers, some different things, and cut out a few little squares. So now I don't really want this over here because it's really like wrinkled. After I washed these, I folded them right away so they didn't get too wrinkled, but I didn't iron them because, yeah, I'm not going to iron it. I do not like to iron. So just get a few snippets, but this thing actually will be really cool to use for something, so don't throw it away. Being like that, it might be nice to put on a tag. So let's do, I'm gonna do a little bit of this blue, and you can rip it, you can cut it, you can do it however you want to. And I even just put a nick right there because I was being too lazy to open it up. So, and that's probably like right in the middle of that, you watch. So, and then, well, let's say we want to, I'm gonna do it on the part that's a little flatter. We can kind of make it like a little flag. Like that. And we could put that on here, or maybe we could put it under there. And then just take a piece of our lace and put that on there. I don't like it like that. And if you like it, you know, kind of messy like that, that's cool. If you like it more straight, that's cool. So there we go. We've got that like that. I like that blue sticking out on the bottom. It's not very tall at the back, but it doesn't matter. I'm trying to think, maybe I just want a piece of this instead of having the whole width. And whenever you're making your clusters, you can throw them together really quickly. And they really do. You'd be surprised. They come out pretty nice. Or you can just take your time and decide how you want them. There's no right or wrong way to do it. But no, I think I do like that, the full width. So I'm just going to leave that like that. And then how about if we put a button on top? Oh, I was going to grab them out of the box that I so neatly put everything away in, but I forgot I left them out. So, and these are dark, so if I didn't want them this dark, I could paint them. So, because we're not washing this, so it's okay to use your acrylic paints, and acrylic paints stick really well. It's okay to use them in your crafting. I think that looks kind of cute. All right, so then let's just, oh, I was hoping that my needle was threaded, but it's not. But oh, I even have the needle threader out here, so we're good to go. I don't know why I did that so long. I kind of pinch my thread between my fingers, align the hole up where I know the thread's at. If I can find the hole, there it is. And then just, there we go, I got it. I think that's the hardest part, when you're trying to do something on camera and then it makes you nervous that you're not going to get it, and so that makes it even harder to get. I'm going to make this double threaded, so just want to line up the ends. I'm going to wrap it around my finger, roll it off my finger, and pull it down. That way it will be really nice and solid. Now, the only thing is that this little blue one, oh, maybe I'll catch it. We'll see. Oh, yeah. I think that going through here will catch it. And just going to tack this one down, and then I'm going to put the other one on top. Usually you can get through, so long as you have a 4-hole button and a 4-hole button, you can usually kind of angle your needle if your holes don't line up because they're a little too small. Just kind of angle your needle down to reach. Okay, buttons are really not my forte. I always have a problem coming up, trying to find where the hole is in the button. There we go. All right. So I'm going to stick this on here. And then just kind of, sorry about that. I got a call that I had to take because that came through on my cell phone. So I went ahead and I got a piece of cardboard from a greeting card. And so what I'm going to do is I actually realized that this paper clip is going to be too long and stick out the bottom, and I don't want to see that. Now, you could hang some beads or dangles or something from that. It would be really cute. But since I don't have that planned, I just had a little paper clips here in my stash. So I am going to just use that one. And I keep, when I go to the bank and stuff like that, they paper clip my receipts together and that type of thing. So I just keep those paper clips. So that I have them here. That's where that one came from. So I'm just going to, I folded that cardboard in half. I want to make sure that it's not going to stick out past the bottom of my little snippet. And it's not. So I'm just going to put that paper clip on there. And I'm going to round the corners because I find it easier to use if you round the corners. It seems to open up a little bit easier. Let it stick about maybe a 1/4 of an inch or something down from your paper clip. That. And then I'm going to glue on the back of it. I'm going to glue just a piece of our painty paper. So I'm just going to kind of cut that off before I put the snippet on because it's easier. And then I'm just going to put this on here, which I cut it backwards. And I did that wrong anyways. Okay. Because we don't want to see this on the top. This is what we're going to do. We're going to put some glue on here. Make sure you get glue between the paper clip to hold that paper clip down. And then we'll just take a piece of our blue paper. Put it on there. Maybe I shouldn't have put the glue on both sides to start with, but I did, so we'll just live with it. Cut around it. Cut straight up. And then I'm going to cut around it like this. Fold it over. And then just trim it to fit. Now this is so that you have a hidden paper clip. You don't have to do this part. And also what I do is sometimes I make a double-sided paper clip. So later on I will glue something to the other side. And then we're just going to glue this on our paper clip. Or I mean on our snippet. I'm going to let a little bit stick up over the top. I want the bottom of this to be close to the bottom of my snippet. So that as I'm trying to get it onto the page or whatever I'm clipping it to, it's easier to get to. But then if you want to, you can always put another snippet on this side so that both sides will have a snippet on it. But this looks cute too. Or you can stamp on that, or you can draw on that. You can do whatever you want. And then once you get it together and once it dries, you just kind of go in and just kind of move your cardboard back a little bit like that. So it's a little bit open. And that way, as you're trying to put it on whatever you're going to put it on, it's got that little bit of a gap there. And then it just slides right on, just like that. Let's turn it around. Maybe we'll see it a little better this way. Whoops. Just find the slit, put it on there, and now you have a paper clip, and the other side looks cute too. And like I said, you can do the other side the same way or a different way, depending on what you're putting it on and what you want it to look like on each side, because they can be totally different. So there we go. This is what we did today with some of our fabrics. There's so much more you can do. You might say, well, why did we buy all that fabric if this is all we're doing? But we bought it so that we would have it, because you know, you get to the point where you watch, you know, you're watching videos and you think, I really want to try that. I really want to try that, but you don't have the things to do it. So then you go out and you buy the things to do it. Maybe you didn't quite have the money that you should have spent right then. So this way you have some things in your stash that you can use to do other projects that you may want to do and not have to go out and spend a whole bunch of money. We're building up our stash. And so this is just part of that. And so, what did I do? Here we go. So don't forget, we also have our own little painty embroidery floss. And I don't know what I did with all the other colors, but I really love the way that these turn out. I think that they turn out great, and I think that they work really good. Just kind of put that one like that. And there we go. So this is what we have for today, and I'm really happy with how it all turned out. And this way, if you didn't want the embroidery floss from Walmart, if you couldn't find any at your secondhand store, or you wanted some that's a little more variegated, something like that, you know, this gives you something to try, which for $1.25, you get 420 feet. That is a lot of colored string. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.